Hey guys, Ron here. I've been really thinking a lot the last few days on what to scope about and what the topic should be. I love to give lots of great value and content based on lots of good ideas and stuff, but the challenge that I'm running into is I want to focus the energy more, and I want to actually help you do process of elimination. Johnson, good to see you there. Process of elimination, because there's so much information out there. Celsi, good to see you. So much information out there. It's raining out, by the way, guys. I'm trying to keep the water off the screen. I just feel like people can go in so many different directions. And I've always been kind of on a search for a deeper meaning of process of elimination to figure out what the true best bang for your buck is, or what the best value of your time is. And as I've talked to other people that, own companies, or I look at companies that have been around for a long time, and then I compare that to companies that are coming out nowadays. People are really big into startups and really big into lean startups. And I've really been big into, Colin, good to see you, philosophy, methodology when it comes to the lean startup with the pivots and the feedback loops. Just been a big fan of that, because being around the internet and technology for about 20 years, you do what Mark Zuckerberg talks about, which is break things faster. And I've seen a lot of people where they have these companies that have been successful for a long time, but they're really what I would call more in maintenance and fulfillment mode, where they have a lot of employees, they have big payroll, they have a lot of overhead, they have office, they have square footage, and I've been there. And you work so hard to make money just so you can maintain that, just so you can pay for the square footage and the 2 offices and employees and the phones and the copiers. And a lot of that's been replaced now. It's more efficient. Phones do most of that now. A lot of people would just go to FedEx to use stuff. But to me, if you're taking on liability, if you're taking on employees, you're taking on more payroll, you're taking on more office space, you're taking on more salespeople to get more sales, you're taking on more expensive advertising, newspaper, radio, TV. Nothing against TV or radio. That's going to work for some people once you have that exact product and you have the sales funnel figured out. But if you're taking on all of that stuff to bring in more money, I think you're growing. You're growing with resources, and you're taking on a lot of liability. The liability comes with it. That's a byproduct. What I'm more into is the scaling part. The scaling part with a lot of these companies nowadays. Amir, good to see you. Where you actually see the people have 10 employees and the company makes $1 million. And it's because they're using technology to their advantage. They're growth hacking. They're utilizing social media. And to me, I think we're all on the same page here that we need to use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, blogging, Periscope, all these different mediums, YouTube. We need to use all these different mediums to grow our user bases to reach a further reach. A couple parts I think people are missing, though, is you're not just marketing to the actual person you're trying to sell. You're marketing to people that have a circle of influence that know the people you're trying to sell. That's a far, far bigger market. So you could leverage yourself with the tribe, where you have 200 people that think you're great, and they think that you have great content, and they share it with tens of thousands of people. Joanne, good to see you. Because of how much influence they now have. Everybody, not everybody, but quite a few people have social influence online now. So you're just really trying to reach the social influencers is what you're trying to do. So in recap, what I think the part that a lot of people are missing on is because they don't know where to focus. I think the headline is where it is. I think we agree that we're all using the platforms and we're trying to build up the user bases, and we all naturally get followers. I mean, if you have the right image and the right, when I say headline, I loosely mean the image, the quote, the hashtags, the headline, the tips, the mistakes they're preventing. I'm talking about all of that. I'm just talking about that first, subconscious thing where you see it for a few seconds or 1 second. I'm talking about that as the headline. I'm not talking about the content way down the line. As Mark was saying on his show, Mark Shaw was saying on his show, is exactly how I've been feeling forever. It's like, you can have the greatest content, but if you don't have a good headline, then nobody ever saw your content. So it doesn't really matter. And I'll say that one more time because people hear it, but I don't think they hear it. Is you can have the greatest content in the world, but if your headline gets 3 people in, it doesn't matter. And if your headline is really good and it gets 100 people to see it, then it makes a big difference. But it's not even just the Periscope headline you use today. It's not just the tweet you just sent out. It's not just the Facebook one you just sent out. So keep in mind, there's a lot of this thing going on the internet now where it's just like, put it out there, and then it's kind of more like a Snapchat where it's just gone. And it's just like, there's this feeling where you feel like you're working for Facebook, or you're working for Twitter, or you're working for YouTube. You feel like you're working for these social networks because people have to constantly keep putting out the content. And that's true. You do have to keep doing that. But there are longer term visions, such as blogging. If you create an extremely good blog, you will go up the rankings instead of down the rankings over time. Plus, you have the social share buttons on your blog, so as people come by and they tweet it and they share it and all that kind of stuff, especially as that happens hundreds of thousands of times over the years, you're going to want to make sure those headlines are really important, because I've done thousands of tests on Facebook pages. I'll tell you, the one thing it came down to is, does your headline get clicked on 1 out of 20 times, or your post image or whatever, the image and all of it. The whole headline and image and everything plays in part, but it's got to, Surgeon, good to see you, it's got to be at like a 1 in 20 click rate for that to just keep going viral. Because if you don't keep it going viral, you just got to keep posting more content, and that takes work. So the goal is for your content to leave a legacy, but more so your headline to leave that legacy and get that time leverage. So the headline, the headlines are really important to repurpose over YouTube and SEO and blogging and Twitter and Facebook. So what you're really doing is you're kind of coming up with a really good blog post with a video embedded in it, and you're using a great headline. You're spending more time on that headline and the science behind it of what actually converts, and test it on Craigslist, test it on Facebook, test what actually gets clicked. You can constantly A/B split test. So find out what actually works, get that out there, and then go syndicate it all over Facebook and Twitter, and you got your blog and it's all over the place, and put it on YouTube with the same one, and just make sure you got a winning headline, because to the extent that your headline is weak, the more you're going to need to actually post more content. It's never going to end. So I have posts all the time where you're like, that's not a bad headline, and it gets seen by 100 people. And then I've had other ones that get seen by 5,000 people. I've had images where it's like, yeah, that, on a different client site, that image did okay on the Facebook page. It got seen by 200-300 people. Then I have other ones that get seen 15,000 times or 23,000 times reach. And it's like, it's the same amount of effort. You just upload a photo and click send. Well, that, as it's shared and shared and shared, the headline of the Facebook page is being shown. So how important is it to, and keep in mind too, it's not just the headline. I mean, obviously, Donald Trump is in the headlines nowadays, and Hillary Clinton's in the headlines, and Kardashians are in the headlines, and Bruce Jenner's in the headlines, but if that's not your audience, they're not going to click on it. So you can take one of those posts with one of those headlines. Give me a great headline that works on CNN, and then you can go put it on, like I could put it on my Law of Attraction page, or a growth hacking page, or a Periscope page or something. That's not going to get clicked on, because it just doesn't relate to anybody. So all I'm saying is, think of time leverage, think of scaling a company, and don't think of always growing a company where you're taking the liabilities and the paperwork and the resources and the employees and the square footage of more space and more salespeople. That's not what, I mean, maybe that grows a company. It does. It's linear. You're adding more hours to your day, but you're also taking the expenses with it. I think what most of us are looking for is more of a scalable growth. where the income just shoots up exponentially and the expenses don't go up very much. And in a world where so much of it's fused with technology, that's exactly what's happening on a curve nowadays. So that's kind of my thought for now. I'm going to go do some blog posts today, and I'm going to try to, got my I Love Periscope shirt on. I'm going to go try to get this more defined for everybody on all the different headline formulas and how to bring a product out at some point that everybody can utilize on all their different social media market, platforms to grow their audiences so that they can grow their businesses. And it works across most mediums, and it works across most verticals. It'll work in most businesses, I believe. So, okay.